Sleep. It's something we all do every single day. But have you ever really stopped to think just how strange it is? I mean, from the tiniest fruit fly to a massive elephant, pretty much every animal with a nervous system does it. It's one of the most universal behaviors in all of biology. And, you know what? It's also one of its biggest mysteries.
Right, so let's get into it. For something that's so common, the real reason for sleep has had scientists scratching their heads for centuries. I mean, think about it. Why would evolution ever select for a state that leaves an animal totally helpless for hours at a time? So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what we know.
And this slide right here gets to the heart of the problem. It's called the sleep paradox. On the one hand, the risks are huge and they're obvious. When you're asleep, you're not out finding food, you're not looking for a mate, and worst of all, you're basically a sitting duck for predators. So whatever the benefits are, they have to be absolutely massive to make up for all that danger. The big question is, what are they?
To start finding some answers, we've got to look inside the most complex organ we know of, the brain. Because it turns out, just being awake is really hard work, and it makes a whole lot of mess that needs to be cleaned up every single night.
Okay, so think of your brain as a really busy city. All day long, it's just buzzing with activity, right? Neurons are firing, signals are zipping back and forth, and tons of energy is being used. And all that activity creates waste products. One of the key ones is a molecule called adenosine. As that stuff builds up throughout the day, it creates what scientists call sleep pressure. That's that growing, heavy feeling of drowsiness that eventually you just can't fight anymore.
So, how does the brain actually clean up all this junk? Well, it uses a special network called the glymphatic system. You can just think of it as the brain's personal sanitation crew. And get this system becomes 10 times more active when we're asleep. Its main job is to flush out all that toxic gunk that accumulates while we're awake.
And the way it works is just fascinating. So first, while we're awake, all those toxins are building up. Then when we hit deep sleep, our brain cells actually shrink a little bit, which opens up more space between them. This allows cerebral spinal fluid to rush in and just wash everything away, including really nasty proteins like beta amyloid, which has been linked to diseases like Alzheimer's.
But the brain isn't just taking out the trash while we sleep. It's also doing some really important clerical work. See, sleep is absolutely essential for what's called memory consolidation. That's the process where the brain takes all the new, fragile memories you made during the day and carefully files them away into stable, long-term storage. And we see this in some pretty incredible ways all across the animal kingdom. Scientists have seen that birds will neurologically practice their songs in their sleep. Rodents that just learned a new maze will replay those neural pathways over and over again while they're sleeping, making that memory stronger. And it's the same for us. If you're learning a new language or how to play an instrument, you'll get way better at it after a good night's sleep.
Okay, but sleep isn't just for the brain. Not at all. It's a full-body process that's crucial for physical repair, for our defenses, and for growth.
The moment we fall asleep, our body just shifts into this maintenance mode. It's a chance to conserve energy, so our metabolic rate drops. It's a time for our immune system to power up and get stronger, and it's when the body can finally focus on growing and repairing tissues.
Let's talk a little more about that immune boost. Studies show that when we're asleep, our bodies ramp up production of molecules called cytokines. These things are absolutely vital for fighting off infections and inflammation. It's why, when you get sick, all you want to do is curl up and sleep. That's your body telling you it needs to power up its defenses. Sleep is also non-negotiable for growth. The release of key hormones, especially growth hormone, absolutely surges during deep sleep. This is super important for tissue repair in adults, and it's exactly why young animals and human babies need so much sleep. Their bodies and brains are growing so fast that they need a ton of that restorative downtime.
So now that we've seen what's happening inside the body, let's zoom out a bit. How in the world do animals manage all the risks of sleep out in the wild? Well, the answers are found in some pretty incredible evolutionary adaptations. You know, sleep patterns are just perfectly tailored to an animal's place in the food chain. An apex predator, like a lion, can totally afford to sleep for more than 15 hours a day. It doesn't have many threats. But a giraffe, which is a very vulnerable prey animal, sleeps in these tiny little bursts for only a couple of hours total. And then you have animals like dolphins, which have a completely different problem. How do you sleep without drowning? And they solve it with this: unihemispheric sleep. It is one of nature's most brilliant tricks. Basically, these animals can shut down one half of their brain at a time. The sleeping half gets its much-needed rest, while the other half stays awake and alert, handling basic functions and keeping an eye out for danger.
Dolphins use this to keep swimming and remember to come up for air. Seals can rest in the water while keeping one eye open for sharks. And maybe the most incredible example, some birds use unihemispheric sleep to rest during these long, non-stop migratory flights that can last for days. They are literally sleeping on the wing.
So after looking at the brain, the body, and the wild, what's the final verdict? Why do animals risk everything for just a little bit of shut-eye?
Well, the answer is, there isn't just one answer. Sleep isn't a single tool for a single job. It's an entire toolkit for survival. It handles a whole suite of essential maintenance tasks, from cleaning the brain and organizing memories, to boosting immunity, conserving energy, and promoting growth that are just really difficult, if not impossible, to do during the chaos of being awake.
I think it's summed up perfectly this way. Sleep evolved as a collection of solutions. It's the time that evolution carved out for an organism to focus on all of its internal maintenance and optimization, just to make sure the whole complex system can keep running, day after day. So, let's circle all the way back to that paradox we started with. We tend to see sleep as this moment of vulnerability, maybe a necessary evil. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if this period of quiet restoration isn't a weakness at all, but is in fact one of life's most powerful and essential strategies for resilience, for adaptation, and for long-term survival?